everyone, this is Shel from Paper Studio, and today I'm sharing my page that I did for the Pick A Stick Challenge for January 2016. Here are the steps. These were picked with challenge sticks. My friends and I are going to be doing this every month. We have a Facebook group that you can join if you'd like to play along. We post the challenge on the first Friday of the month, and then we post our videos on the last Friday of the month. So today I'm showing you what I did with these 10 pretty complicated ones. For the very first challenge, it was probably like, wow, these are kind of crazy. So as I was looking at the steps, I noticed that the second thing is use gears, and the third thing is add a verse from a song. And so I wanted to make my page an homage. See how fancy I am? Homage to a band called Imagine Dragons out of Las Vegas and their song Radioactive. So I knew I needed to gesso my page because I'm using a mixed media paper spiral bound thing that I just want to use up, and I hate this paper. It needs to be gessoed. It buckles. It's got all kinds of problems, but I'm going to use it up with my challenges. So the first thing I did was I wanted to gesso it, and instead of just making it white, I added in a little drop of black gesso to make it kind of a gray, dingy, already starting to be distressed looking background. And then I did the first step, which is create a title in your own typeface or font. My handwriting is yucky. So I'm doing my best here. Also, you know, that's a strange one to start out with your title. Usually you put the title on towards the end, but because this is a challenge and it's from fate. Fate picked this. We did not choose these things. We picked them out of a random stick bucket. You know, this is what you get, and that's why it's a challenge. That's what makes it fun, to do something that you like, at least somewhat, with what you're given. So I made a little line to keep myself straight, because if I don't make a line, then when I try to write something, it starts fine and then it starts to go down to the right and droop on the end. So I made a little light pencil line, and then I lightly drew letters with my pencil, and then now I'm going over them with a Posca fine tip pen. The next thing that was on the list, step 2, is use gears, and I happen to have this Spellbinders die cutting thing that I used in my Big Shot. And I cut out some different gear stuff out of just some cardstock that I don't want anymore. And then I was going to use it as a stencil. So I taped it down, and then I've got this color from Tattered Angels called Tokyo. And to me, it looks like rust, like iron rust. Although in the video, it looks a little bit more red than I expected. And in fact, it didn't work at all like I expected, but I went with it. So I went ahead and sprayed through that, and then I'm going to put another one of the little die cuts on there and use that as a stencil as well, just to block out some space. And then the opposite one from the other one. Does that make any sense? And then I'm just kind of spraying all over. I wished I hadn't sprayed all over. Lesson number 1. Tattered Angels is just like Dylusions, if anybody's ever used Dylusions ink sprays, except for this has mica shimmer in it. But as far as the water reactive properties, it's just like it, and I couldn't stop it from bleeding through everything and getting all over everything, so I was a little bit annoyed by it. So once it was all dry with my heat tool, I decided I wanted to color in some of my title where I left, you know, the open spaces with a white Posca pen. And as you can see, the Tattered Angel stuff is bleeding through, but it looks okay. It just I wanted a real bright white, so I kept going over it. You'll see me do it over a couple times more as the process goes on. As you can tell, I don't love this page. I think it depicts like what I wanted, but I don't necessarily love it. The next one was to add a verse from the song, and I printed out the lyrics from the song Radioactive, and I used this, it's called collage something font. That's like one that's free on the internet that I downloaded. And when I turned it sideways, it reminded me of a cityscape. And I've been seeing a lot of cityscapes lately from Creations by Cece, and then Heather from Craft Shack, she made one. And then at the New Year's Eve live party that they had, several people made them. So I've been influenced by seeing so many of them out in the internet lately, and I decided, yeah, that it does look like a cityscape. So I decided to put it across the bottom, and then that made my gear that I put on there look kind of like the sun, like an old rusty sun that's trying to shine through smoggy, you know, nastiness. And to me, that's what the song is about. It's about waking up and realizing that we're damaging our environment with all of our conveniences, and to try to pay a little bit better attention, or else our our world is going to look like this. So that's what I was portraying, and that's what I was thinking about when I was making the page. So I glued that down with a matte gel medium, and then once it was dry, I had to draw my little swirly part of my title over it. Had the title been going on later, it would have been moved up higher. But since it was the very first step, I had no way of knowing exactly where I needed it to be positioned, so I just kind of guessed. Now, the next thing is to build texture with a palette knife in any medium. And I had this brand new bottle of glass bead gel, which is a medium from Liquitex, which I've seen my friend Sherry use a lot. And I really liked it, so I had to buy it. Then I never opened it, so this is the first time I've used it. What I didn't realize is that it was gonna stir up that very water reactive spray, and so it's mixing in that coppery burgundy color in with the gel, and that's why it looks kind of like it does. And I tried to dry it with my heat tool, and all it did was bubble. So I just left it overnight. So this is actually the next day. And the next step, which is to create borders or elements with scrapbook paper. And I thought that I was going to use that rusty looking scrapbook paper. That was my original idea. But it didn't match with the burgundy color, which I thought was going to be a rust color. But it's actually more of a burgundy color. And so I decided instead to use a coordinating color that would really, come off the page. So I picked this piece of turquoise scrapbook paper, and then I made a little diagram, and I was planning on doing what I normally do when I am doing paper piecing sometimes with collage. I glue my pieces onto a piece of deli paper, but I found I really didn't need to do that after all. So I'd made my little diagram to do that, and then I was going to cut it and glue it all as one piece. But I decided that that wasn't necessary, that I could just glue them right to the page. So it's really only helping me by letting me kind of decide if the pieces are big enough or whatever. It's not really helping me that much at all. So I just continue to cut little strips, and kind of that, they're not exact. I'm not being fussy. I'm not measuring. I'm not being crazy. I'm just making a general skyline. And these turquoise ones happen to coordinate really well with the other color. Plus, they appear to be in the background, and then the ones with the lyrics are in the foreground. So that was what I was trying to do. And I think it turned out pretty cool, actually. So once I get done cutting all these, I'm going to glue them on with the same matte gel medium that I used before. The other thing I didn't know about the glass bead gel is that the medium that it's in is very glossy. As you can see on this, in this view, you can see it's glossy all over the place. So the places that I put it are glossy, and the other places are matte, and it's just kind of bothering me. Even as I watch it, it's bothering me. But that's what you get, when you're experimenting with brand new stuff that you've never used before. You're seeing me experiment with it. This is what I got from these 10 sticks. I learned things about bead gel. I learned things about Tattered Angel's Glimmer Mist, which I'll be using a lot more because I'm designing for them this year. So, these are things that I needed to know. I needed to know how things work, and that's what art journaling is about. It's about expressing yourself, being creative, and also learning about the materials that you're using. Now, I don't have a gear stamp, and I wanted to add a little bit more of that turquoise color into the rest of the page because it just looks dumb if you don't. That's my reason. And I had this pill bottle, and I thought it looked like a gear, and so I was trying to use it as a stamp. I think this will work really great on my jelly plate. I think it will make perfect little gear shapes on my jelly plate. It even has a depression right in the middle that'll make like a dot in the middle. But it didn't work as well on this page because, of course, the page is flat and there's nothing squishy underneath. I don't really have like something I could put underneath. Like if you put maybe a pad from that you use for a mouse pad under there, that might make it the shape come out a little bit better. But I didn't really care. This is a very grungy looking, messy page anyway, so I just went with it. I'm using PBO blue-green shimmery paint. So I've got glossy stuff, I've got shimmery stuff, I've got matte gel. I don't know what I was thinking using matte gel medium over this. Silly, very silly. But yeah, I'm a professional. Sure I am. Okay, the next one is use sparkles. I've already got some sparkly stuff on there with the gel stuff, but I needed more sparkles. So this is glass glitter from Prima Art Basics. And I'm just using some soft gloss gel. I finally got smart and realized I needed gloss gel. And I'm just putting it right there in the middle of my gear sunshine. And then tapping off the excess. I believe this color is called bronze, but I'm not 100% sure. But I like coppery bronzy colors, I think because I live in the southwest of the United States, so I tend to see those kinds of rusty coppery colors everywhere in my environment. The next step was to add paint with a palette knife or a card. So I'm just using some black paint with an old credit card that I used to scrape glues and paints with. Happens to be on my desk. Might be a gift card, not sure, but you know what I'm getting at. It's a plastic card. So I'm using it to kind of create shadow lines in between my buildings. And then I'm going to attempt to make a border around my page, which looks terrible. But hey, we're going grungy. This is very, very grungy. That's right. I like the colors. The colors are nice. So once that was done, the next step was to journal so nobody can read it. So that background is pretty dark, and I don't really think it's going to be much of a problem. Before I do that, I spray a little bit of Heidi Swap Gold Shine spray on there to try to make my sun look like more of a sun, make it stand out a little bit more. And then I'm just using my soft graphite pencil that I sketch with to write on my page. If you look at it in person and look really hard, you can see it, but mostly you really can't. And I'm just writing about the environment and how blind people are, about not trying to work on becoming less damaging to the environment. The next thing is to add a picture, and it didn't say it had to be a photograph. It could be just a picture. So this is just a little sketch, pencil sketch of a dragon. And that was, Imagine Dragons is the name of the band. So I thought this dragon would look nice standing on top of the buildings and looking down. I wished it was a little bit brighter. And I do end up doing detail work over it with a black pen to try to make it stand out of the page more. But the last step was to write on masking tape with a pen or pencil and to add that to the page. That's a very interesting one. So I've got my masking tape and I decided to write Imagine Dragons Radioactive on it and then put that on my page. And I couldn't decide where to put it. I was like Also, it wasn't drying, so I needed to dry it a little bit first. And then as it was drying, I decided I was going to grunge it up a little bit with a gray Posca pen and make it look a little less pristine since there's nothing pristine on this entire page. And so I did that. Then I was like, oh, I'll put it right here. Okay, I'll stick it down. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to leave it right there. So I decided that it could make a pretty cool building in front of the other building. So now creating another foreground. And since one wasn't enough, I just took a little bit more masking tape and put a few more buildings in the front because you wouldn't just have one building in the front. So that adds a third color. I've really just got the rusty burgundy and the turquoise. And now I've got this kind of a manila unbleached titanium looking color on there. And then I went around with the gray Posca and added some kind of window looking things to them. And I was pretty happy with that. So I've got all my steps done, and now it just comes the fussing. You know, I've got the fussing gene. And I started out with putting a little bit of water on there to try to even out, because I did figure out that glimmer mist is very water reactive. So I was trying to even that out, and then I added some more of the Heidi Swap kind and was considering getting some drips or something and making that look more like a sunshine, like an old rusty sunshine. And dried it. And then I started to get out detail pins. And I started out with this really, really small black, I think those are Prisma. I don't know. It's a .005 pin, so it's tiny, tiny, tiny. And I was going over the lines, the pencil lines on that picture and trying to make it stand out more. But yeah, it didn't really work. It still didn't make it stand out that much. So I did end up going over it with my heavier Posca pen, which took away some of the detail of the drawing. So I probably should have made my dragon bigger, and then maybe it would have worked better. Because it kind of gets lost in all the other drama on the page. It's a really cute dragon, too. It's too bad. There's a lot of drama. I also add some highlights and try to lighten up his wings with some white, blending it with my finger, which helped a little bit. But I was just kind of at a loss as how to make him stand out more with all that shimmer and glitter and stuff going on. This page was definitely a learning experience, and that's why these challenges are good, because you will learn a lot about the products that you have, that you've tried, that you're using, the ones you haven't tried if you were brave enough to stick them on there. And I hope everyone does this challenge and that you join us for doing February and March and the rest of the year. I'm imagining that these particular prompts might have been a little bit harder draw than some of our ones that will be coming up. It is random. It is completely random and beyond our control, so it is fate that is creating the challenge for you. We're just the tools of fate. So, but I think it's fun, and I think it's a great learning process, and I want everyone to join us. Make sure that you look down below in the comments for the links to our Facebook group that you can join, where you can find the challenges, and then also for the 3 other videos of my friends from the Fab4 Creates group who are using these same prompts to make their pages. And we'll find out if theirs are similar to mine or completely different. And I bet you they will be completely different. I'm sure that you're going to get a lot of variety with these videos every month, because everyone thinks of things differently and everyone's eyes are different. So I'm still using my pins to do my detailing, but I think I'm just about done. Oh yes, I decided that I lost my bigger gear that went around the outside. It kind of melted away when I sprayed the water. And so I'm just kind of highlighting it to bring it back again. It's subtle, but you can see it on the page in real life for sure. So thanks everyone for watching. If you want to see more videos from me, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. That helps YouTube understand that I have something of value and to recommend me to somebody who hasn't found me yet. So that's really helpful. And here are your close-ups. Thanks. Bye-bye.